Nigeria is a West African country in sub-Saharan Africa that borders Cameroon, Niger, and the Gulf of Guinea. It's the most populous country in the continent, supporting over 180 million people, half of whom are under the age of 25. Nigeria's rapidly growing population is backed by Africa's largest economy that relies heavily on the production and export of oil and agriculture. Despite this, there's still 70% of the population that lies below the poverty line. Additionally, Nigeria is suffering from high unemployment rate, almost 25%, large amounts of ethnic conflict, government corruption, and environmental degradation. In order to face the biggest issues that Nigeria is facing, such as poor educational system, gender inequality, and a lack of proper infrastructure, UMD Students for Nigeria strives to work with the Nigerian population in order to enhance their quality of life through making education more accessible, ensuring gender equality, and through improving infrastructure.
Of these three issues, a poor educational system has negatively impacted the growth and development of its people. Currently, only about 60% of its population is literate. Along with that, since 1990, no more than 10% of Nigeria's overall budget has been allocated towards education. Also, only 15% of children in Nigeria receive free primary education despite national policy that mandates that all children have access to free primary education, or FPE. As a result of Nigeria's poor educational system, their literacy rate is severely low, with only 69.2% of males and a staggering 49.7% of females having some form of literacy. We, the UMD Students for Nigeria, believe that education is one of the most important building blocks in developing a nation and increasing the quality of life. Our organization strives to improve this issue by partnering up with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and begin to set up libraries with internet connection across primarily rural sectors of Nigeria. This will allow kids access to a vast amount of knowledge as well as internet connection to gain access to online classes and other information. In addition, we seek to pressure local governments to uphold the FPE policy so that primary school children do not have to pay enrollment and/or exam fees.
The next topic that UMD Students for Nigeria will focus on is gender inequality because it is a large issue in Nigeria. The prevalence of gender inequality is most noticeable through the high fertility rate, which is 5.13, the high maternal mortality rate, which puts it at 11th highest in the world, the low contraceptive prevalence rate, which is 15.1%, the lack of access to healthcare for women, the low distribution of health facilities and the quality of care they provide, and the lack of women's employment. In 2014, only about 44% of the female population was employed compared to 58% of males. Some of the ways in which UMD Students for Nigeria plans to help correct these issues to improve the livelihood of women in Nigeria are through the improvement of family planning, including higher contraceptive availability rates, especially to rural areas, and establishing more health clinics in rural areas while also providing existing clinics with modern equipment. With the addition of these clinics, healthcare and services would be more accessible to women while also providing the necessary access to health professionals during pregnancy and childbirth. The last way that UMD Students for Nigeria will help women is through a system that mirrors that of the Grameen Bank, where women are given small microcredit loans to start and operate their own businesses.
The third topic largely refers to the standard of living in Nigeria, and that is the poor infrastructure that affects the urban and rural populations. The main infrastructural issue that Nigeria faces is the availability of clean water. Right now, there's an estimated 140 million people that are continuously drinking water containing all kinds of germs, heavy metals, bacteria, and dust particles that are capable of causing various diseases. Citizens are forced to consume this contaminated water either because it is the only water source available, typically in rural communities, or they're uneducated enough to know the source is not healthy. Only about 60% of the population has access to improved water sources in comparison to the US, which has 99% access. We, the UMD Students of Nigeria, are pushing to establish household water treatments that give the citizens the power to safely clean their own water and prevent the health issues. There are 5 possible types of filters, and each has 4 main purposes. The first is to produce water that meets the South African National Standard Microbiological Drinking Specification. The second is that they are easy to construct, operate, and maintain. The third is that they are cost-effective by being constructed from locally available material and not running on electricity. Fourth is that they're able to produce a minimum volume of 25 liters per person of water that is recommended by the South African Department of Water Affairs. With your donation, we can educate the citizens of Nigeria about these water treatment filters and provide some of the materials to jumpstart the clean water movement. Improving the consumption of clean water can help prevent deaths from diarrhea, malaria, and malnutrition in Nigeria.
Resolving these issues completely will require a vast amount of money. However, we UMD Students for Nigeria, with the proposed $1 billion budget, aim to use about $500 million to fund the construction of health clinics and necessary resources such as new equipment, while also funding microloans for women. $350 million will be allocated to help the construction of libraries that are supplied with books, computers, and internet connection. $140 million will go to establishing clean sources of water, such as public tap stands. Finally, the remaining money will be used for travel and personal expenses of our members. We UMD Students for Nigeria aim to alleviate these issues in order to improve the lifestyle of the Nigerian people.